We've all heard the story of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a truly dark chapter in American history. But what if I told you that the horrific 1921 massacre was only the first act of destruction? Well, today we're diving into a hidden history that shows the erasure of this incredible community was actually a two-part tragedy. Let's get right into it. When a people forget their origins, they drift into a moral amnesia. Wow. This quote from our source material really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. See, this isn't just a history lesson. It's about the real danger of forgetting, of letting these stories slip away. And that's exactly what we're here to prevent. So here's the question that sits at the very heart of our explainer today. We know about the firebombs, the violence, the burning in 1921. But what came next? How was this sacred ground literally paved over? That is the hidden part of the story we're going to uncover together. And this brings us right to the core idea from the source material, this tale of two destructions. The first one, well, it was shocking, violent, and fast. But the second one, it was slow, it was quiet, it was systemic. And you could argue it was just as devastating. Okay, just look at this timeline. It tells such an incredible story. First, you have the founding of Greenwood in 1906. Then, the horrific massacre in 1921. But then, look at this. By the 1940s, the community had rebuilt. I mean, that resilience is just astounding. They rose from the actual ashes. But then, the 1960s happened, and a whole new weapon of destruction appeared. A federal highway, Interstate 244, was intentionally routed to slice right through the heart of the district, tearing apart the very community that had fought so hard to rebuild itself. So you see, the mission to erase Black Wall Street didn't just stop in 1921. The weapons just changed. The firebombs of that first destruction were swapped out for the bulldozers of the second. Things like urban renewal, eminent domain, which, is the government's power to just take your land, and highway planning were all used to get the exact same result: wipe a thriving Black community off the map. But here's where the story gets even bigger. It turns out Greenwood wasn't an island. Our source material uncovers this larger network of Black communities, what it calls a restoration corridor. And tragically, the pattern of destruction we just saw in Greenwood, it was repeated all along this corridor. Take a look at this. This table shows that restoration corridor in stark detail. You have Greenwood, with its businesses destroyed by a massacre and a highway. Then there's South Haven, anchored by its Black churches, erased through industrial zoning. You have Buford Colony, centered on its school, dismantled by neglect. Little Africa, another community, taken apart by urban renewal. The methods were different, but the goal was always the same: systematically take down Black prosperity and the dream of self-governance. And we have to understand these weren't just dots on a map. The source calls them sigils against forgetting. What a phrase. They were founded on this radical, powerful idea of Black self-governance, land ownership, and spiritual freedom. They were sanctuaries, places where Black families could actually build a future for themselves away from the constant threat of oppression. So after laying out this deep, systematic harm, the source doesn't just leave us there. It actually proposes a solution that's just as big and just as serious as the problem itself. And the core of that solution is a treaty. Now, let's be super clear about what this means. This isn't about revenge, it's about justice. It's a proposal for a formal, binding agreement, kind of like the ones the U.S. has with indigenous nations, that would create a real framework for repair, recognize the right to self-governance, and hopefully build a lasting peace. This whole treaty idea rests on three main pillars. First, local renewal. That means putting reparative investment directly back into the communities that were intentionally harmed. Second, global connectivity. This is about building a digital bridge to reconnect the diaspora with Africa. And third, and this is huge, self-governance and justice, actually recognizing these communities' right to have a say in their own future. Okay, so a treaty, 3 pillars. That sounds ambitious, right? So how do you take an idea that big and actually make it happen in the real world? Well, the proposal lays out a really concrete place to start. The plan kicks off right back in Tulsa. That entire restoration corridor we talked about would become a pilot zone. A reparative investment fund would be set up, co-funded from all levels, to rebuild community wealth by creating community-owned assets. It's a real, tangible plan to finally start the work of repair. I mean, at the end of the day, this is the choice right here. The past was all about systemic erasure. The future could be about systemic restoration. Instead of highways that cut communities apart, You build a digital bridge that connects them. Instead of land being seized, you create community land trusts so people own their own land. And instead of history being forgotten, you preserve it. It's about literally reversing the damage, tool for tool. And get this, the vision is even bigger than that. The proposal actually includes a partnership with the country of Guyana to create a Diaspora Guyana digital bridge. The idea is to foster trade, share technology, and build cultural exchange. It connects this local fight for justice in Tulsa to a global movement for Black empowerment. It's pretty incredible. And so that leaves us all with this final, powerful question. The source material makes it really clear. We can't just ignore these historical debts forever. The choice is between restoration now or a reckoning later. The path forward is there. The real question is, will we choose to take it?